world summits and gatherings to figure out what's happening. Honey, if it's anything like what I just felt, I believe you. I got to tell you, Shamar I had the good fortune of sitting by him tonight. He said, "Why do you do what you do?" I said, "All of us here do it for you." So, boys, don't let us down. Holding on to the core values established by George Whitefield in 1740, which, as any of these boys and those that have gone before him can say, a love of God, a love of learning, and a strong work ethic, there's been an ebb and flow of emphasis over the past 275 years. Depending on the needs and circumstances of our world over that period of time, almost 3 centuries, and what we need to do to prepare young men for it, Bethesda's mission of preparing young men to not only survive but to thrive has remained a constant. It has not been the mission that has changed, but the manner in which these boys are transformed into men that is ever evolving. So there have been many chapters written and rewritten at this house of mercy. Bethesda Orphanage, the names will reflect that. Bethesda Home for Widows and Orphans, Bethesda Academy, Bethesda Home for Boys, and Bethesda Academy again. From taking care of orphans, widows and orphans, including girls, believe it or not, boys, to a home for boys, or 3 hots and a cot, as a Bethesda alum recently told me, to a vision of lead the way. Bethesda is developing a strategic plan that focuses on hard skills like reading, math, and science, but also soft skills like respect, responsibility, accountability, integrity. It is a plan that has a backdrop of a love of God, a love of learning, and a strong work ethic, but is a platform and curriculum built around leadership, entrepreneurship, and sustainability. Really just a formalization of much that has been happening and being done at Bethesda. So, if you need someone to transform boys from followers to leaders and to foster an environment and curriculum to make that happen, you better have a leader who has led and who understands the educational components necessary to make that happen. Bethesda has that in Dr. Michael Hughes. Many of you have met or perhaps know Dr. Hughes. In case you don't, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him before he takes the podium. Prior to accepting his new position as president of Bethesda Academy last year, Dr. Hughes served as the head of school in Antilles School in St. Thomas, where he provided exemplary leadership for the college preparatory school, which is considered to be one of the finest independent schools in the U.S. Virgin Islands. With an extensive military and academic background defined by numerous awards of achievement and success, Dr. Hughes has served in various leadership and academic positions at West Point and has also earned degrees at the University of Virginia and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. He served as director of the Center for Enhanced Performance at West Point and developed an innovative seminar course, Leading Professional Teams, the Human Dimension of Leadership, that he taught at the Sloan Graduate School of Management at MIT. This cutting-edge course for graduate students in the innovative Leaders for Manufacturing program provided theory and practical hands-on leadership skills to enable MIT engineering graduates to lead project teams upon their return to their Fortune 100 companies worldwide. Dr. Hughes knows leadership, how to teach it, and how to do it. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Michael Hughes to the podium to share with us the future of Bethesda Academy.
You know, you're never supposed to follow animals, small children, and in this case, Bethesda Blazer boys when you speak. So anything I say, I must tell you that we're just so proud of these young men and so excited for their success. So to the young men, I have something for you to remember. You're going to hear me say this tonight and tomorrow. Once a Blazer, always a Blazer. We expect you to leave to succeed in college, Cody to succeed in the Corps, Jerry to succeed in the world of work. When you have kids, to send your boys to us. so that we will be multi-generational. But we are so proud of you. This evening we're going to talk about the future of Bethesda, but first I need to set the example for these young men and display a little bit of gratitude. First, I would like to thank Kevin and Libby Jackson and EnviroVac, not only for their sponsorship of this event and their leadership in it. Kevin texted me and said, "I found our home for the gala," back a couple of months ago, and that being here. We attended last year. I don't think anybody here misses the cow things on the ground or the insects or the ants. But Kevin, thank you for arranging that, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. How about a big hand for the landing staff that's done Plantation, done such a great job. So Kevin's only answer to me in a year has been yes. Now, you know somebody's got to love you, not only if they back you with a check, but if they're willing to service your nasty, broken down buses that have horrible tires, unserviceable transmissions, and all other number of things when you need it. You got to love a guy who will get your school building painted 2 weeks before school starts when you can't afford to have a commercial company come in and paint it, and brings his own crew to come do that, okay? Please join me in thanking the Jacksons and their incredible generosity. What a fabulous evening. It's been my honor I listened to Paul Presley. Paul is my mentor in all of this, and when we needed a new director of development who now is our institutional advancement leader and who is my right hand, Paul said, "You need to give John Redden a call." And John is an incredible professional. He is the former director of development and advancement at Savannah Country Day School. John is a graduate of Furman. He is a former executive staff member for the National Association of Independent Schools. He is the founder of the National Association of Therapeutic Boarding Schools. Interesting coincidence, he was the admissions director a long time ago at Massanutten Military Academy in Virginia, the same school where my dear wife Donna served as well. But John Redden has put this evening together and worked tirelessly, and he made the full commitment. His son's jazz band is the group that entertained us. John, please stand and take a bow if you would. I would like to thank the ladies of the Women's Board of Bethesda. These flowers that you have were grown in the Bethesda farm in the garden by Ms. Maren Slocum. They were planned by Holly Yakala, and they were put together yesterday and today by this incredible team of about 15 hardworking women from the Women's Board of Bethesda. Alva Compton, our president. Alva, if you wouldn't mind please standing and taking a bow. Please. The Women's Board of Bethesda has funded the first air conditioning system ever to be placed in our gym. They have funded a total renovation of our weight room. And you talk about some work. Coach Turner can't sleep at night. He's so excited about that. That's to be delivered in this coming month or so, and they have backed us in every possible way. We appreciate that a great deal. I would like to thank Christy Edwards, who's here from Horizons. Christy, if you would please stand. Christy Edwards deserves a lot of credit. She was our partner in soliciting a joint donor to totally renovate our swimming pool. That thing is gorgeous. It's completely renovated. It looks brand new. Keith Kilgore has now nuked the power washed the deck. It looks like something you would find at a resort. So on behalf of Bethesda, we'd like to thank Horizons, Christy Edwards, and the partnership that we have developed that helped us get the pool done. I hope you noticed, but the greens that you ate this evening were grown. They're Bethesda greens. and they were grown in our garden and on our farm. I'd like to thank Ms. Marion Slocum, our organic farmer, for that, and all of our other staff who supported us. Big hand for our farm team. And I got to thank one other group. You know, this was the year that we all faced physical challenges. Tropical Storm Hermine, Hurricane Matthew, and I've got some gentlemen here and their team who were my go-to guys, my wingmen, when I made the crazy decision to stay and ride the storm out on the campus, because we had all these cattle and all, you know, the cattle and the goats and the chickens and George Whitfield's chapel in place to stay. And this was my hurricane team. Our Director of Maintenance and Facilities, Bo Lina. Bo, would you please stand? You haven't lived until you've stretched one generator to keep an entire 650-acre campus going, to get it done. His wife, Lori. Lori, would you please stand? Lori Lina fixed coffee every morning to get us through, and when I got the text that would say the coffee's ready, it was, praise God, I'll be there in just a minute. So we were there. Wes Lamons. Wes is our Director of Cattle. Wes, would you please stand? His wife Ashley came back on day 2 and also helped with the support. And they're not here, but Gary Gatewood and Bruce Matthews as well, along with our farmer Marion Slocum, came back and came and stayed and helped us out. Congratulations to our graduates. We're going to get around back to them in a few minutes, but your journey, we launch you tomorrow, and we're so excited about that. What we want to talk about now is the future of Bethesda, and I want to first just share with you that, you know, God has blessed me beyond all measure. I grew up in Alabama. My father was an electrician. My mother was a photographer. I was honored to go to West Point, graduated in the class of 77, was honored to be an infantry officer, a career infantry officer for 22 years to serve our great nation, both in time of peace and time of war. The one when we knew what we were doing in 1991, went and won and came back. But it has been such a blessing. But the Army sent me to get a master's degree at Chapel Hill and then eventually a 3-year doctorate at the University of Virginia. But I've been so blessed to lead American soldiers in both peace and war, 63 combat patrols against North Korea, a number of other things, survived 3 helicopter crashes, had a number of things happen in my life. But I truly felt, and we had 3 offers as we left the Virgin Islands. One to a larger school that paid a lot more money with a much bigger president's home up in North Atlanta. But I've got to tell you that we felt the good Lord's calling to be at Bethesda. And let me tell you, what did that. When I was here as a candidate and it was time to eat lunch, I had the honor of sitting with 4 fabulous young men and having lunch with them and asking them, what are you looking for in a president? What do you need? What's your life all about? And I've got to tell you, those young men absolutely warmed my heart. And this is not about money, and this is not about status, and this is not about great degrees. This is about having young men out of Isaiah chapter 40, in the last few verses. These young men will wait on the Lord. They will mount up with wings as eagles. They will run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint. They are going to be leaders. They're going to lead their family. They're going to lead their church. They're going to lead their community. And they're going to be leaders in their job and career. And we're very proud of them. That's what Bethesda is about. and how blessed Donna and I are to wake up every morning with Brownie the donkey braying for his morning carrots. He's got us well trained. And to have a chance to live 200 yards from the Reverend Whitfield's chapel. That was there. And I've got to tell you that I truly believe that as much as I feel called, we believe, and John and I were talking about this today, we believe that George Whitfield, that rascal of a reverend, who once preached to 20,000 people in a verbal with no microphone, we believe he's watching Bethesda from heaven. You know, when the Hurricane Matthew hit, we lost 37 trees on the main campus, but not a single one hit a building, and there wasn't a single leaf on that chapel. So we truly believe the Reverend Whitfield is watching us from heaven. We could talk about a lot of things this evening, but we're going to talk about the shared vision. Where is Bethesda Academy going? What is our future? And what's our shared vision? We really believe that the X factor, and our Board of Governors, and by the way, the one other thanks I've got to give is I would like to thank our Board of Governors for the confidence and the honor and privilege of leading Bethesda. Ladies and gentlemen, what a privilege. It's a great way to close out my 18th through who knows how many years of leadership as a head of school. But I would like to ask our Board of Governors members just to stand for a moment so you can see who they are. And I would like to thank them for the chance to serve. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand? One of our new governors, Board of Governors members, is here, and she has promised to help us with a pathway to college for a number of our groups, for a number of our boys each year. This woman has made an incredible impact here in Savannah. It is absolutely an honor to introduce our newest Board of Governor member. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Linda Blyken, the President of Armstrong. So what's the X factor? What are we about when we talk about leadership? Simply stated, ladies and gentlemen, we are turning Bethesda into a leadership academy. We might even have a debate in a few years about whether or not we want to change the name to Bethesda Leadership Academy. We're not going to move too quickly to do that because we're still getting over the last name change. But it's time to be serious about what kind of school we're going to be. I salute David Tribble and David's 25 years of dedicated service, and he moved us from an all-white, totally segregated orphanage and social welfare agency to a school. And I've got to tell you, that's a lot of work. And I salute David Tribble for that, and everyone else who helped him, and I still call him from time to time for advice, but that 25 years was an incredible period of progress. But folks, organizations live or die based on their ability to change with the times and to evolve and to reinvent themselves. It's time for Bethesda to decide what kind of school we're going to be in our next 100 years. Think about it. We're setting the stage for Bethesda's 4th century. We have been in operation 277 years. So we're going to talk about a short-term vision for 280, but we're looking at 300 and beyond. And let me tell you, I'm so excited about this. I wake up every morning just jazzed. And we're going to talk about that. So first of all, if West Point and the Army taught me one thing, it was to figure out what your mission is and focus on it. Douglas MacArthur, who pinned a medal on my father in World War II, and my father absolutely idolized, MacArthur in his great speech to the Corps of Cadets in 1962 talked about our central focus, our mission, always remains fixed. It's determined. And Bethesda's mission is always going to remain fixed on our boys. It's to prepare every boy to succeed in college, careers, service, and life, to love God, to love learning, and to build a strong work ethic. We transform boys into young men of high character, and we are going to build leadership skills in each one of those. Simply stated, everything else we do, whether it's cattle, whether it's athletics, whether it's worship, it's all about building these boys into leaders. We build leaders. What must we do to carry out this mission of teaching leadership? And I think the question, some of you may be sitting there thinking, oh, we heard this West Point guy from Alabama rant and rave all night about leadership. Why teach leadership? Who cares? Why teach leadership? First of all, it's the X factor. If you had a chance to hire one of two people, and both were technically skilled, and both looked like they could do the job, who would you hire? The follower or the leader? You would hire the leader. It gives them an edge. It gives them an advantage in life. It gives them a chance to make their own mark. And leadership, ladies and gentlemen, can be taught. That you don't have to be tall and handsome and good looking or physically attractive or rich to be a good leader. Au contraire, you can learn leadership skills. What are some of those? You know, the power of having boys learn to lead and learn these skills. When a boy learns the subject well enough in school, Libby Jackson, as a 30-year school teacher, will tell you that the best teaching technique ever is to get a student to learn something well enough where they can teach it to other students. If you teach a young man to be a leader in his school and in his organization, he doesn't just sort of coast through. He buys into the values and the power of that institution and hooks into it forever. As we teach these boys to lead at Bethesda, they are going to buy in more and more to what we do. What's this skill set? There are a ton of skills that are involved in leadership, and some of them are displayed before you. How to set goals, how to time manage, how to problem solve, how to motivate others, how to influence others, how to influence the organization, how to overcome resistance to change, how to live a healthy life and help others do that. Leadership skills are for a lifetime. And we mean to stamp that in the heart of each one of our boys. One of my favorite quotations is something General George Marshall said when he was Chief of Staff of the Army in World War II. He made the statement, "I need an officer for a secret, dangerous mission. Bring me a West Point football player." Mayor DeLoach, our dream is in the future for every business leader, like your landscaping business, says in Savannah, Georgia, I need a worker, I need a leader for a difficult, tough mission. Bring me a Bethesda graduate. We recognize that every boy needs the opportunity to learn the value of job training and preparation. And we've recognized, ladies and gentlemen, that every boy is not a match for college. We are partnering with Savannah Tech and with Excel Strategies and some other organizations. We are going to reach a place in the next couple of years where every Bethesda boy has the opportunity, if he so wishes, to earn an associate's degree by the time he graduates from 12th grade at Bethesda. Interestingly, you should know that Jeremiah Williams, who graduates tomorrow, Jeremiah, would you please stand up? Jeremiah earned 21 college credits during the time he's been at Bethesda. Okay, one of my favorite lines in a movie was in the movie American President, when the comment is made by the president when he said, you know, there's been a lot of talk about character, but I can assure you that every important thing that it takes to be president is all about character. Everything about leadership starts with character. So the first thing we were introducing at Bethesda, we began introducing it this year, it'll be formalized next year, is character development and a character development program. 3 parts of that. The first one is an honor code, that one of our boys will not lie, cheat, steal, nor tolerate those who do, that they will not be deceptive, they won't plagiarize, they won't do those kinds of things that we know are honor violations. And we're instituting that code effective next school year. Second, we're going to teach something that's way lost in our society, and that's respect. 3 parts of respect. First of all, respect for yourself, respect for your body, respect for your family, respect for what you put in your body, and for your own fitness, respect for yourself. Second, respect for others. How to be caring and respect others and have a community of mutual respect. And third, respect for authority. And finally, how to be considerate of others. Consideration for others. And there are really 3 parts of that. One is being part of a community of mutual respect. The second one is to learn some social skills that have been incredibly lost in this generation. We are the most politically incorrect school on the planet. We believe, for example, that a young man should open the door for a lady. That at our prom, where's Calvin Ford? C.J. Ford? C.J. Ford's date to the prom was wearing a dress that was the absolute mother of all prom dresses. Okay? And he was the absolute soul of a gentleman. And ma'am, you'd have been so proud of him. He helped that young lady up those stairs and carried that train of that dress for her and did that all night, and he did not complain. CJ, CJ, well done, okay? Social skills, and then finally, manners. We are going to dare the devil and teach manners and etiquette. Now, we do that already to some degree, but we're going to formalize that with our character development program moving forward. So, honor, respect, consideration of others. We have an interdisciplinary team of faculty and staff that's already worked together on that project. It's been my honor to be the sort of co-leader of that, and we're very excited about instituting that next year. Okay. So you say, okay, how are you going to teach leadership? How do you do that? Well, there's a 3-pronged approach. And leadership, probably the best schools, I'm a bit biased, West Point and the University of Richmond have 2 of the best programs that there are. University of Richmond program was actually founded by Bob Jepson. It's the Jepson School of Leadership. Of course, some of you know Bob and Alice. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. So our program is going to look a lot like the one at West Point and the one at the University of Richmond. 3 ways to study it and to go about it. The first one is an academic component. Yes, you can indeed teach and learn leadership theory and what research says works best in a leadership situation. Let me give you a couple of examples in the way this is taught. Let's say, for example, that one of our boys has to lead his peers in a task, accomplishing a task that's just physically demanding, very repetitive, very hot, very miserable, very difficult. It's a highly structured, physically exhausting task. The research around Hershey and Blanchard's situational leadership theory and situational leadership theory 2, and what's taught now at all the major business schools in the country, says that the right kind of leadership in that situation, the research shows, is not to be hard and demanding. On the contrary, it's to lead by personal presence, to be there and work with them, to be supportive and encouraging, and actually to make sure that the workers have all of the things they need for water breaks and energy and all those kinds of things. And I'm hoping my maintenance team is smiling, because that's what we did when we recovered from the hurricane. My job, I was the lunch commander every day, to go somewhere, find a restaurant, bring us lunch. That's there, but the research shows that kind of leadership works. Let's say you have a more complex engineering problem, that you're the member of an organization that has a very technical shop as part of it, and you're the shop leader. And you get given the mission to redesign the shop into a much more effective working environment. Well, that requires creative thinking and a team approach. That requires you to do some team building and to promote sharing of ideas in a way that no one is afraid that their ideas will be criticized or shot down. And the leadership research would tell you that it's important to give some structure to the task and keep the group on the road to a solution, but do it in a way that lets everyone's ideas be heard. And then when implementation takes place, you get everyone to buy in. That's what it would tell you. There's a fantastic model taught in every business school in the country. It's based by a faculty member at MIT and a gentleman from Australia. That's the Vroom-Yetton leadership model of group decision making. And the Vroom-Yetton theory would tell you that you have to be careful, because in order to let the group have that much say, you have to make sure that they all buy into what the goals of the organization are. We might need to learn that lesson in Washington, D.C. And then next, so we've got the academic background, and we will teach that to our boys. Second is the experiential component, to learn to have practical hands-on experience as leaders and followers. And what a great place we have at Bethesda. We have a chance for them to work with the teachers and help the teachers, to work with the coaches and help their peers on athletic teams, to work in the cottage and the cottage boarding life, to take care of our facilities, to work around the campus, and to learn various skills. And this is really the opportunity for our students to be leaders, to have class officers, to have a student council, to have them feel like they own Bethesda. There's a 4-stage process, and the first is being a competent worker and follower. In other words, to be a servant leader, that you have to learn how to serve first. Second, you become a one-on-one mentor. You learn how to mentor that new boy, that new worker in your area. Third, once you grasp that, the boys will be given an opportunity to be a small team leader, be in charge of 3 or 4 other boys in their area. And the cottage teachers among us, the cottage parents that I'm looking at, would love to have a little help in the leadership on the East Hall or the West Hall, or who's taking care of the supervision of the day room or whatever. But that small team leader. And then finally, by the time they're a junior or senior, they're developmentally ready to become an organizational leader, to lead a group of 10 or 11, 12 of their other peers, okay? We had 4 seniors who helped us this year, who helped Ms. Kiegleiter and myself and Mr. Keith Kilgore, our Dean of Students, lead. And I would like to ask those 4 senior leaders to please stand. These gentlemen had not in the history of Bethesda, I don't think, ever been asked what they thought about what we might do on the day that we were letting out for spring break. And guess who we let plan those activities? Our senior leaders. They did a great job, and gentlemen, I'd like to personally thank you for your patience with me this year as I learned the ropes. But thank you, and I salute you for your leadership of your peers. And the key is that we believe that this will help them really believe it's our school, their school, not the school their parents sent them to. And then finally, a third component, and we are excited about offering this opportunity to a donor for sponsorship, but we believe that we need to have a guest lecture and conference series that brings in leaders from nationwide and throughout the world to share in a seminar and small group, and lecture in small group, and we would open this to the larger Savannah community, what works in leadership, to share some of their ideas and their experiences with our boys. We have already talked with Fort Stewart, Hunter Army Airfield, the Ranger Battalion is nearby, but the opportunity to hear them learn leadership lessons from leaders of the military, leaders of the church, and leaders of corporate America. And we're very, very excited about that. So if you put all three of those components together, an academic background, theory, and then translating that theory into practice with experience, and then finally to learn from others, we believe it will create the finest leadership program for grades 6 through 12 in America. We are so excited about that. So we're launching. The Bethesda Leadership Academy program is on the way. We are beginning next school year. We are forming and beginning the year by creating the Center for Leadership Development, the Center for Leadership in Burroughs Hall. The Burroughs Hall is where the museum is on the ground floor, and my office area and a large space that used to be the gymnasium is up there on the second floor. We're going to turn that into a leadership classroom, conference area, and practical exercise area. And we also will use the former TV studio, the production studio for video conference capability, and the ability to actually video and give feedback to boys in practical exercises as we use the case study method. We're absolutely excited about that. I'm excited to announce, although my wife is going to wonder if I've lost my mind, the director of the Center for Leadership Development initially will be yours truly, because I've done that before at the Academy, and I'm excited about that, and I believe that my passion for that, I'm hoping will carry the day. It will be integrated into the Academy curriculum at each grade level. So we will begin some very basic lessons in 6th grade, all the way up to and through the 12th grade. And we'll make sure, of course, that the instruction is age appropriate. Next summer of 2018, we will begin with not only an academic summer program, but a summer leadership program that teaches some of these skills and opportunities and shares that with the local Savannah and Chatham community as well in the summer as well. So we will actually be using our campus right alongside Horizons, who already does, beginning in the summer of 2018. What do we have to do to make it work? Well, we've had to make and are making now some tough decisions. We have to lead by example and make sure that Bethesda's house and our business model are indeed leading by example, that we are doing everything we can do to make sure we maximize our resources. So what do we have to do? With the end of building leaders in mind, we have to sharpen our focus in every aspect of Academy life. Every enterprise that we have will function as a business with a written business plan that's accountable not only to me as president, but to our board of governors, and with a goal of making every current enterprise and every future enterprise profitable and make sure that it contributes directly to the education of our students and the Academy's bottom line. And the ability to work and serve in each one of those enterprises will give our boys a chance to learn and practice the leadership skills. A little more about the how in a minute. We've got to dream big, and we're not going to just keep doing the same things we've been doing. So follow me down the path for a moment. What if? What if Bethesda did some very innovative things? What if? We believe the future is very bright, but what if we tried some things? What if we had a Sunday brunch with a farmer's market right on our campus? Saturday is Forsyth Park. Sunday could be Bethesda. What if we had an equestrian farm, an equestrian center? We used to have horses at Bethesda. What if we offered a great place for boarding and riding and training horses? There are a number of other of these that are pictured up there. As you take a look at them, we are looking at other ways to use our land and use our property and partner with institutions, organizations, companies who could bring things that complement Bethesda, such as sustainability and entrepreneurship, and give our boys a chance to reach out and have those kind of partnerships. We really think, and just so you know, the financial facts, we have to raise every year about $2.5 million to make Bethesda work. Our tuition covers only 10 to 12% of our expenses. The rest of it has to be generated through fundraising or us utilizing a variety of our resources. We need to be creative in order to do that. How can we do that? By practicing us as an organization being sustainable as well. Well, you might ask the question, how can we help? How can we be part of that? And we're hoping that you'll think hard about that as we do the next part of the program. First, I would like to ask, and we're going to do this kind of in a very unique way, I would like to ask our young men from the class of 2017 to please stand. Are you displaying the numbers at the moment? Okay. Mr. Redden's going to display some numbers on the screen, and I want to talk about them for a moment. This is what it costs, if you take a look at it, to the actual cost to educate a Bethesda boy for a year, for a semester, for a month, for a week, and for a day. The actual cost is in excess of $20,000. The average tuition paid by one of our families, all of our boys receive some scholarships, is approximately $3,500. Some pay more, some pay a little less. It's based on a sliding scale. But obviously there's an enormous financial impact on Bethesda to provide this. So what we'd like to do is ask you to think for a moment. If you'd like to be part of providing some of that support. We believe that the boys have done their part. They've done incredibly well. We will be so excited to have them graduate tomorrow. We believe the school has done its part, and we continue to cut our costs and enhance our financial model and work very hard to be very consistent stewards of the school. So what we would like to do now is ask you to dig in your heart and see how you believe you could support Bethesda Academy. Gentlemen, the boys all have in their coat pockets, they have envelopes, and pens, I believe, and they're going to distribute those to you at your tables. If they would do that, please, while I wait. And if there are two of you at a table, if you would please cover a table that is not there, where there's not one of your colleagues. So what we would ask you to do, and gentlemen, once you get through distribute them, if you would go back and please just remain standing. So if you feel it, that you would like to, that you have the ability, thank you, sir. I got it. Thank you. That if you feel that you could assist us and cover whatever you believe your financial situation and your dream for Bethesda and support would do, please feel free to do that. I know that a lot of you, most of us, don't carry checkbooks around anymore. If you would like to make a pledge and write that on there and how we could contact you, we certainly would be glad to do that. While you contemplate that, I want to close with a story that illustrates our priorities and what we're all about. So what I'd like you to do is envision the Bethesda of 5 years from now. And you drive on the campus of Bethesda, and no longer is there any deferred maintenance. And no longer are there trees that have fallen down that we can't afford to clean up. And no longer do you drive around and see things that should have been repaired several years ago. But there's a Bethesda now that's strong and ready. And the enterprises, the things that we sell, there's actually a farm stand that's known Georgia-wide. And it's selling and contributing to the local economy. And wherever you go in businesses in the summer, you run into Bethesda boys who are doing internships. And you go and you look at where our Bethesda boys have an opportunity to go to college, and the sky's the limit. And you take a look at all of the opportunities that Bethesda has. We believe that light on the horizon for Bethesda, while we are so happy and proud of our history, we believe that light on the horizon, we believe it's sunrise. We believe it's dawn, not sunset. We would ask you to please consider being part of that sunrise. So here's the story. At the end of World War II, in sector, on the day of surrender, as the Germans were beginning to surrender to the United States Army, in sector, an American division commanding general was moving forward to meet the Panzer Division German Army commander to receive the German surrender. You might know this, but Germans are very formal. So as the American general approached the German general had a number of papers pulled out and a number of stamped certificates, and he presented them to the American commander through his interpreter. The American commanding general looked and said, "What is this?" And the German general looked and said, "General, these are my credentials. I would like to see your credentials, please, before I surrender." The American general, shocked because we're not that formal, and quite frankly, they'd been attacking for days and days and days. He was one of George Patton's division commanders, looked rather confused and looked at the German general and thought for a moment and looked back at his aide and kind of thought, and then he looked, and with him, of course, he had a squad of young American infantry soldiers who had been with him as they pushed forward through the forest and were standing there, and he looked at them, and he looked back at the German general, and he smiled, and he said, "General," and he looked, and those American soldiers were tired. They hadn't bathed in weeks. Some of them were bloody. They were dirty. They were absolutely exhausted, but they had performed magnificently. And he looked at the German general, and he smiled, and he held out his hands and said, "General, these are my credentials." Bethesda boys, please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, from George Whitefield in 1740 to Bethesda in 2017, these are our credentials. Thank you.